Well, what's up, good people? Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Jobu Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, and I see Gina Thorne's already in the house. What's up, Gina? You know it doesn't work. Tonight, we got a special edition of the Jobu Sports Report tonight because, well, we got the draft in 2 weeks and 2 days from now, and we've got to figure out what the hell we're doing because we've got Catboy, who's not signing any free agents that are more than, say, $2 million. He sucks. So we have to do well in the draft, and I have two special guests here with me tonight. I have Dave and Dale, and let me go ahead and bring up the camera here. There's my buddy. What's up?
What's up, Mark?
Dave, I feel really good. I feel really, really good because of the products that I got from you.
Yeah, they do work.
I am doing well. Okay, now, truth be told, I've only tried the lemongrass on my shoulder, but see, look, I can actually move it around pretty good. I couldn't get my arm over my shoulder a couple of days ago, so I've used it a couple of times. So far, it's doing pretty good, so I'm going to check it out and see how well it goes and stuff. I'm ready to try the energy stuff, but you told me don't take it at night because, I'll be, like, up all night. And I was like, that's actually what I need because there's not enough hours in the day for me to get everything done.
You may regret that come 6 o'clock in the morning.
I'm usually awake at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Now, you won't have been to bed.
So you tell me, well, tell me about this energy, this energy stuff here. So I know before I try it, because I'm going to try it tomorrow morning because I got a long day ahead of me. There's 2 tablets in here.
Right.
So
take one.
Should I have it with my morning coffee?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's when I take it.
You got this cheesy little grin on here like, yeah, I can't wait to see it tomorrow on YouTube. Okay.
So I know how it's made. I'll give you a brief rundown on all of our products are formulated by doctors.
Okay.
So when we went to the formulation chemist, the first thing I said to them is like, look, I want an energy capsule, a sleep capsule, a recovery capsule that works before I ever put CBD in it.
Okay.
And so that was kind of the mindset that we went into it. And then CBD just intensifies all the things that are in it.
Okay.
In fact, it intensifies it so much. Dave, you can attest to this. The sleep capsules are pretty good because everybody's aware of melatonin, right? Average dose of melatonin is about 5 to 7 milligrams. We had 5 milligrams in our sleep capsules. And after we added the CBD to it, the formulation chemist actually said that we needed to reduce the amount of melatonin in it from 5 milligrams to a half.
Okay.
Because of how much it actually intensifies the melatonin.
All right. So let me let's see. I got my buddy I Love Weed in here. Will I Love Weed? Yeah, I Love Weed. He's always passing the Dutchie from the left-hand side now. Now, he's hardcore. I'm sure Hawk will be here, too. He ends up messing with some bad stuff. This stuff actually won't get you high, right? It'll just give you all kinds of energy. So will I Love Weed like this?
Well, sure. Does I Love Weed also like coffee?
I don't know. I Love Weed. Do you love coffee? All right, we'll see if he responds to that. I see all the ladies in place. I see lovely hot sauce, Miss Lola. I see Gina Thorne. I see Joanne Gonzalez. What's up, Thomas Garrett? How are you doing? All right, so before we get into the Cowboys, I actually have some great news on the Dallas Cowboys that you guys brought me some numbers that are fantastic. But before we get into all that, I want to ask you, how did you get into, I told you guys watching that we are joining forces with the Pro Atheletes Hemp Association, and they're also working with the Retired Pro Football Players Association. Tell me more about that relationship that you guys have.
Dave, you want me to tell the story or you want to tell it? They reached out?
I can tell how it started because...
And this is my buddy Dale.
It's kind of all interconnected. Before we got involved with the Professional Retired Players Association, I also do work in college football. And I do analytical work. I'm on social media a lot, been all over the country. And fortunately, one day, one of the people that I work with down at USC was interviewing a gentleman named Ron Mix, NFL Hall of Famer. And he is also the president of the Pro Football Retired Players Association. And I was referred to him because he was looking for or the organization was looking for the best available hemp product producer to be a part of. And so by way of all of my college football work, it got me connected with the retired football players. And they did their due diligence. And now here we are through the grace of college football talking NFL because of the Pro Football Retired Players Association.
That's fantastic. Well, see, now you are the polar opposite of me because, see, me and my wife have a deal, okay? I spend all my time on the Dallas Cowboys and the NFL. And, when I started going towards other sports, she's like, look, if we're going to stay married, you get one sport. The way you attack it, because I try and do everything. When I do something, I do it all the way or I don't do it at all. And so for me, college football, I just don't have enough time to keep up with all the prospects and things. Now, your big specialty is quarterbacks and undrafted free agents, correct?
Well, in terms of the NFL, it's just something new that I started getting into. The whole undrafted free agent really came up this week. I worked on my quarterback drafting formula 15 years ago and came up with what I felt was the best way of evaluating a quarterback prospect in terms of success and failure in the NFL. And I just left it at that. And I've worked for a couple of franchises on the NFL draft, specifically with quarterbacks. But I've done nothing else because the analytics I work on, it's all college football. I work for programs all over the country, and so that takes up most of my time. But but then Dale started talking to you, and we start talking about a show, and so I started looking at, well, look at all these undrafted free agents that nobody talks about, because nearly a third of the players in the NFL were undrafted free agents. So I wanted to on the college football
level. Wait, hold on. A third. Is it that much? Wow. Okay.
It's a lot of guys. Normally you're looking at 4 to 5 players per year that are going to make your NFL roster per team. So you look at Dallas, and Dallas is absolutely no exception. Dallas
has actually been really good at it because our starting right tackle, Terrence Steele, was a undrafted free agent. This will be his 3rd season, and he's now the starting right tackle.
That's how our conversation kind of started. Was talking about Terrence Steele back in the day. Cole Beasley helped Tony Romo, right?
Yeah.
The numbers that we have, that the Cowboys have as far as starters, right now it's higher than some of the other teams in the NFC East, right? But it's not as high as I thought it was going to be. I was under the impression, just thinking back, that there's actually more restricted free or rookie free agents that actually make the Cowboys teams than there actually is.
Interesting.
Every once in a while we have an outlier, right?
Yeah.
Cole Beasley, Terrence Steele.
Yeah. Well, you could actually say Lyle Collins because he's stack drop because of the but I mean technically he was an undrafted, so you could say they struck gold on there, or they just didn't decide to keep on it. So what's up, Eddie B? What's up, man? Jason, how are you doing tonight? And Roland's review, what's up? So you were also here's the thing that I found, you perked up when you started talking about quarterbacks. You were saying that this draft, as far as quarterbacks go, isn't as bad as everybody's been saying. Because, for the last year, we've heard that last year was the great crop. This year was going to be ass. Next year was going to be good. But you actually are saying that this may be a little bit different than that for this class. And that you may actually, as Stephen Jones would say, find some great value in the second round as far as quarterbacks go.
I think, this time last year when everybody was talking up this draft class, I was saying I didn't think this draft class was that good. Thought it was vastly overrated. If you look at the numbers, and we can go into these numbers. Everybody listening right now,
please.
I will make you a quarterback draft guru in 5 minutes. Okay, we'll go into it, and I'll give you some of the numbers, how I evaluate these guys, and what my results have been first, second, third, fourth round. Okay. But last year at this time I said that the 2022 quarterback draft is going to win more games in the NFL than the 2021 class.
Interesting. Okay.
Now
And I'm taking that bet.
You're taking that bet?
I'll take the bet.
Okay.
Dave's great at what he does, but it just as a normal fan, I have a hard time swallowing that.
I mean, I'm thinking about Mac Jones and how well he's doing. I think Trevor Lawrence can probably turn around and do pretty good. I mean, but it'll be interesting. That you were also the one that said that the 2016 draft that most of the guys in the first round were all overrated, right?
Yeah, and that was the draft that I also said your guy was one of the top 3 ceilings in the draft, period.
And people laughed at you, right?
Huh?
People laughed at you at that point, right?
People that know me didn't laugh about it because they know my track record in trying to project this. Now, in the 4th round, I mean, obviously it's the looking at the 4th round right now, it was the best 4th round quarterback draft pick probably this century, last 20 years.
Yeah,
there's nobody even close to.
Let's see, how many years has Tom Brady been in? So Tom Brady would probably be the only one that would be ahead of him, of course, but I think it's been more than 20 years.
Yeah, but now Brady was a 6th round.
Yeah.
Okay. Now in that year, if I put Tom Brady and I put Peyton Manning side by side with my numbers, you could almost not tell them apart.
Yeah.
Okay. Tom Brady's quarterback effect at Michigan, his starts, his longevity, it was almost the same as Manning. And in that draft, I had him just like Dak. I had him as the 2nd best opportunity in that draft that year. Even though he went in the 6th round, all of his numbers were still very good. So that was a bad draft altogether. But of all the guys in that draft, I had him as the 2nd best risk of everybody taken in that season.
Well, it seemed to work out for the Cowboys. I think he ended up benefiting from Kellen Moore getting injured when he did and Tony Romo missing as much time, so that way he got some playing time before the season started. My cousin Eddie wants to know, ask these gentlemen, who is going to be the guy with the biggest upside as far as quarterbacks go in this draft?
Well, how about we talk about the 3 things that are the most important in a starting quarterback in the NFL, at least the way I see it. Okay. And and everybody listening, everybody watching can apply this to any quarterback. Okay. The 3 things in no particular order. One of them is, how long have you been at the program? How many games have you started? So guys that start, how many guys we see coming out early that start less than 2 years worth of games?
Quite a lot of them.
Yeah. And they all suck, except guys named Cam Newton. I mean, none of them make it. Now, Mac Jones is a bit of an anomaly there because he only started.
Coach, though.
Right? He only started for but look at all the guys that came through Alabama that haven't done anything with the same coach.
True.
Okay, and the difference I think with Mac Brown and all the other guys that have come through Alabama is that he was there as long as he could be. He was trained as long as he could be, and he was in the system as long as he could be. So while he didn't start the number of games, and I was down on Mac Jones in the draft because of his lack of starts. All right. But how long had he been there? He was a senior when he came out. And if you look at the NFL right now, how many guys are consistent starters that weren't 3-year starter juniors or full-on seniors? And look at Dak. Okay. Senior, was there as long as possible, started more than 24 games. Okay. Did his team perform above expectations?
Yes.
Dude, State was number 1 in the country for 2 weeks.
They weren't a football, and they didn't have a whole lot of talent. I mean, I think it was only him and his tight end on the offense that got drafted by the NFL. I think tight end was 6th.
Right. So you have a long time in the system. Quarterbacks learn how to win at the collegiate level. If you can't carry a team on Saturday, how the heck are you going to do it on Sunday?
That's true.
right?
Great
so
point.
that's one of the first things you look at is this guy carrying this football team. Because if he can't carry a college team on Saturday, he ain't carrying my team on Sunday.
I heard
All
that.
right.
Okay.
So that's essentially quarterback effect. Is he elevating the team? Okay. You look at a lot of guys out there that have been drafted in the first round that haven't stuck. Did Sam Darnold elevate his team? No. Did Mark Sanchez? No. Did Trubisky? No. Did Jamarcus Russell? No. Did Sam Bradford? No. They didn't elevate their team. Okay. So you got to look at these juniors and seniors. If it's a junior, he better have started for 3 straight years. Okay. So we want lots of experience. I prefer seniors. I want the guy that has elevated the program, and I do not want, unless he is QB1, number one, first round, first pick. Those guys almost always turn out decent. Okay. But if he is not QB1 in the first round, also stay away from guys that are at elite programs. Elite programs. How many Alabama quarterbacks outside of Mac Jones have made a dent in the NFL? None. USC. Okay.
Because they got great talent around it, but then they get the pros and they've got all great talent that's coming after them, right?
Exactly. And so I think my hypothesis on that is simply you're surrounded by so much talent at an elite program, whether it's a LSU, whether it's a Georgia, an Alabama, Ohio State. When's the last time Ohio State had an NFL quarterback make it? And you're surrounded by all this talent. You don't learn how to be a quarterback because there's so much talent around you. And you look at all your great quarterbacks that you can rattle off the top of your head right now. Almost all of them started 20 to 30 plus games in college. They were from a middle of the road school and they elevated the team. They carried the bags every Saturday. Russell Wilson, okay, Dak Prescott, Aaron Rodgers. Look at Eli Manning, right? I mean, here's a guy, Mississippi, carried the bags every Saturday. Joe Burrow elevated that team. Now, that was an elite team, but look how many games he started. He was a senior. Andrew Luck at Stanford. The list goes on. So in a real simple nutshell, you just stay away from a lot of the guys that were in last year's draft. Now, you look at this year's guys. It is full of seniors. There is experience everywhere. None of them, I think one of the reasons why people aren't paying attention to this draft is because none of them are from a sexy name. If you put Malik Willis at Ohio State with those numbers, how popular is he right now?
Big time. Yeah.
Right? How popular is Matt Corral if he went to Alabama, not Ole Miss? How popular is Kenny Pickett if he's second, third in the Heisman, at Clemson instead of Pitt?
Okay. I love weed. Now, weed. Are you trying to start some stuff? Did you get the good stuff today, or did you get some of Hawk stuff? Because he said, "Don't forget about Kirk Cousins." Are you trying to say Kirk Cousins is better than Dak Prescott? Because he was a 4th-round pick too.
He was, and I had him greened. I thought that was a really good pick. Again, senior, small school, carried the bags, elevated the team, started a ton of games, had a lot of experience. So in the 4th round, the guys I liked. Okay, because Kirk Cousins was there with Dak. All right, I like Sage Rosenfels. I thought he was good, and he actually stuck around the NFL for a while. Kirk Cousins was there. Kyle Orton, I thought that was good value. He stuck around in the NFL for a while. Connor Cook, that was another guy that I thought was kind of in the mold of Dak. Yeah. He didn't stick like Cousins. And then Ryan Finley from North Carolina State, actually the best quarterback university in college football the last probably 10, 15 years, North Carolina State.
Eddie says this guy's making really good points as it relates to college quarterbacks and them having a lot of experience in translating over in the NFL. Good points about not being able to lead on Saturdays, so no way on Sundays. And when you think about, especially now that the NFL is continually reducing the amount of off-season work and stuff, you don't really have time to coach and teach a guy. It's pretty much now we're throwing the game plan at you, and you're going to sink or swim. Some of these guys have never had to, as your point being. You're going to a great school where you got great receivers and stuff. You don't have to be that complicated. And maybe that's the case where a lot of these guys end up failing. They don't have the work ethic and the drive and having to try and achieve as much as they do. Let me ask you this. So if you're saying that whole 4-year starter part for quarterbacks, are you saying that should translate to somebody like Jordan Davis, who is part of Georgia, which is a great defensive front? Are we looking at a guy like that and saying after they leave having all that elite talent around them that they might not be quite as good in college as well, like a quarterback? Or do you think this is more of the quarterback because of the position is so complex?
Dude, you can't coach big.
Jordan Davis, that man, that's just big and fast. That's the thing about that guy. He's big and fast.
He is. Now, and speaking of which, when we get to the undrafted free agents, there's a correlation with size and success in undrafted free agents. We'll get to that in a bit. Okay. But as far as your questions with quarterbacks, I think this is very, because it's a position you have to learn and you really have to develop. Not saying that you don't have to develop as a defensive tackle in terms of technique, but that's a man, and there's a lot of men in the NFL that just have God-given speed and strength and size that you just simply can't coach. It's just there, right? You just get them out there and you try to coach them. I think with the quarterback position, it's a different learning curve in terms of the amount of time it takes. So I really believe in the quarterback that needs to be in college for as many games as possible. You know, guys coming back, I told people when, for example, like Justin Herbert, when he came back to Oregon for that senior year, I said that is going to make him so much better. And he was the number one graded guy I had in that draft because of his experience and quarterback effect at Oregon. Again, not an elite team. He carried that team. So you look across the board, there's not a lot of guys in the NFL that are starting that are really good that didn't carry their team at a very high level in college.
All right. So we know to look for that. Dale, are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah.
My camera just crapped out.
Okay. I thought I was like, did he go eat a sandwich or something? He left the show here.
I was smoking a blunt and I didn't want it filmed.
Oh, well, I love weed, and Hawk would be saying, pass it right on over here, buddy. No, but you're the diehard Dallas Cowboy fan like I am, too. And
yeah, 100%.
You sent me over the charts, right?
Yeah, Dave put them together.
Okay.
I fixed the colors.
Okay, well, yeah, because it came from you, so I was like, here's what I'm going to pop up one of these real quick here if I've got my stuff. There we go. This is kind of an interesting take here because, of course, we see our Cowboy silver there. We got the that bird shit green up there. We've got the red for is the red for the Washington football team?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess it's a code red for them with their owner literally stealing money from the fans. And
I didn't care enough to find a burgundy.
You know, right, for the Washington Commanders away. And then we've got the Giants there. So what you're looking at on this chart here is the rounds, of course, in the draft and so forth, and where you've gotten starting time from each of these players. So when you're looking at this, the Cowboys have actually been pretty good at drafting for the most part, with the exception of the second round. It seems to be their bugaboo. First round, you can't argue with the talent that they've been able to find, as well as the third round and so forth. But for the most part, the Cowboys have been lapping the other field. And you brought up a great point earlier to me that the New York Giants, who are forever signing free agents, are terrible at drafting.
They are. And one interesting point is that with this chart, this is over the last 10 years that Dave put this together. Dave and I talked about before we came on the last 5 years, taking into account Will McClay. And a big thing that you see in the last 5 years is that 396 total starts in the second round from our drafted players. Dave helped me out with the numbers. Like almost 200 of those were over the last 5 years, right?
Right.
That number, the 300, it goes back to guys that were drafted prior to to 2012.
Mm-hmm.
But when we're talking McClay, I think what we looked at is how many starts did the second round produce from 2012 to 2016 guys drafted. That was 23 starts out of the second round, all guys drafted. And there were only 3 guys drafted in that time, but they only produced 23 starts over 5 years. The last 5 years, your second rounders, there's 5 of them, have produced 127 starts.
So they really picked it back up then.
Right?
Yeah.
So they really picked up the second round. The first round was much better for Dallas in 2012 to 2016.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the guys, Dale had pointed out to me, you traded a first round pick for Cooper. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So there's 43 starts. So you're looking at about 140 starts from your first round guys the last 5 years versus 197 from the previous 5 years before McClay, took over or took his post over. So, and this might be something. This might be something for another discussion, because we can deep dive in all of these rounds. But Dallas in the second round has been much better. Dallas in the sixth round, they pulled 66 starts out of their sixth round guys in the last 5 years versus only 40 in the previous years. And your undrafted free agents, 59 starts over the last 5 years versus 44 from the previous years. But combined, McClay years or not, when you're looking at the NFC East, you're looking.
Giants suck.
The Giants have been terrible. Yeah.
This is probably the most amazing. Now, there's 2 amazing numbers here for everybody watching and listening. Okay. The Cowboys in the last 10 years, off of their draft picks, signed undrafted free agent rookies and drafted rookies. They have 2,331 starts from those guys. The Giants have 1,556, almost 800 fewer starts from your drafted guys for the Giants.
Yeah, and when you put in there that Daniel Jones actually did a lot of those starts.
Right.
And that's where I've got a question here, too, that says, why did somebody like Daniel Jones, in your mind, why did they fail? And what kind of a grade did you have on him coming out?
I liked him. I liked him, something. And maybe it's a bad franchise too, right? Sometimes franchises have to do with it. But you look at Daniel Jones, elevated quarterback effect at Duke. You had a guy who started 3 years worth of football games, a lot of experience. He had a high grade. Was he a first or second round grade by NFL people to begin with?
Late first round, second round, I think.
Second round. So
Winner, yeah.
But he had NFL size arm grade. Okay. Yeah. And then you throw in the other intangibles. I felt he was a much more worthwhile risk than other guys in that draft. I don't remember what year that was off the top of my head. But I felt by the numbers, and obviously that one depends on how you want to look at it, was, he's been starting in the NFL a long time, but does that count as a successful draft pick there? But
well, he's got a lot of starts.
Right. I mean, you look at this, 800 more starts in the draft by Dallas than the Giants. So that means their GM has to make up for it in free agency. Well, how good are you in free agency if you suck at drafting guys, evaluating them? Right. So here's another astounding number. The Giants have had to produce 1,831 starts in free agency in the last 10 years. 1,831. So how much more effort and money are the Giants spending versus the Cowboys at 989 starts in free agency?
They're spending a lot more, because I think the last time I looked at the salary cap, I think they only had $800,000. So, they're in cap hell because, like you just pointed out, they have to rely on free agents. And, maybe this is where Stephen Jones kind of gets a pass, and looking at it from the standpoint of when you go crazy with a lot of free agents and have these bloated contracts, that you can't do it. But I'm not really trying to give Stephen Jones any credit here. But for the Cowboys, I look at them. They've got a hole at guard without a doubt. They got to worry about Tyron Smith. You got to look and say Tyler Badish is not great. definitely wide receiver, and I still think defensive line. So they need to get 5 players out of this. But I'm looking at this chart. My thing is I would love to see the Cowboys actually trade back and try and create extra picks. But I'm looking at this, and I'm seeing the Cowboys. They're not as bad as the Washington football team in the second round, but they're not that great in the second round.
They've improved a lot over the last 5 years.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the third round.
And that number is for 10 years, Mark. So it's like what you don't see is the improvement over the last 5. So,
well,
I mean,
I'm sitting here thinking about Tristan Hill, second round.
Yeah, Tristan Hill was doing well, though, until he blew out his ACL, right? I mean, look, we were talking about Tristan Hill. Actually, hey, what was that, his second year?
Well, yeah, this is a contract year for him.
Yeah.
So he's got to put up or shut up this year. He was doing better last year before his ACL, but, you don't really think about him too much. The Cowboys actually have a lot of guys like Goldston, who was a third-round pick. He actually played quite a bit last year. You got to think about OC that's in there. You got
Diggs was a second.
Yeah. Diggs was a second. That'll help skew that number.
I mean, you can't throw Tristan in there and not include Diggs.
Yeah, and also D-Law. D-Law was a second round, I believe, too.
Yep.
Yeah. DeMarcus Lawrence, Tank.
Yeah, so those guys are the ones that you look at and say, oh, they struck gold in the second round. The rest of the guys, not so much, because you got to put Jalen Smith in there as second round, too. Although Jalen did get a lot of starts, and he did get a big, fat contract.
And then he put on 20 pounds and slowed down.
Yeah, and when you're on one leg, that doesn't help. Okay. So fourth round wise, we look at that. The Cowboys have done great. And you could say, they had 3 compensatory picks in 2016, and one of them being Dak Prescott. So a lot of those starts are definitely Dak. Fifth round, not so much, where we have a lot of picks this year. Sixth round, still pretty good. But for the most part, you got to say, okay, they do pretty good. I know you're not deep diving into a lot of the other positions other than quarterback and the undrafted.
Dave's not.
No. But how about you, Dale?
It's like I wake up every morning with a cup of coffee and 10 mock drafts.
And don't you wake up with one of the energy tablets too? You tell me you don't wake up with one too? Oh, okay.
I do.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try one tomorrow morning. I'm gonna try one tomorrow morning. Okay. If I'm bouncing off the walls tomorrow, I might come out to Oregon and get you.
Pick up some more.
Oh, okay. I don't know about that one, but be that as it may, I'm going to try it tomorrow and see how it does. So you guys, if you see me with a little extra energy and a little extra bounce in my step and, 15 more videos, you know why. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to try one tomorrow morning. I'm going to try one tomorrow morning. Okay. If I'm bouncing off the walls tomorrow, I might come out to Oregon and get you.
Pick up some more.
Somehow. I don't know how that happened. Okay. See, look, just the thought of it just all of a sudden just got me like double talking in here. Okay. All right. So you're then waking up every morning and you're deep diving with the Cowboys. Of course, the fans will say, let's trade up and reach for this guy. And I always say that's the worst thing you can do. To me, I
think there's only one guy worth it, and he has to fall far enough to where we could actually legitimately get him.
Jordan Davis.
Yeah, of course. Of course. He's a generational talent. Right?
I'm afraid the Eagles are going to draft him. I'm afraid that's where he's going to go, and I don't want to see that big nasty twice a year. I definitely don't want to see him there, but I don't see any way that he could fall that far.
No, he's not going to fall all the way to 24.
And
so, I think if the Eagles pass him, I think the Chargers could ultimately take him at 17.
That'd be scary.
If the Eagles pass him at 15.
Okay.
Because I think the Chargers, from a defensive standpoint, they're all in right now. I mean, you could tell with what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
They're absolutely all in. So if he winds up, that definitely puts the Chargers real close to the top as a favorite going to the Super Bowl, right, with that defense.
Definitely on that. Yeah, if they get him, that would be a scary front right there.
And then if the Eagles pass him up again, because let's face it, I mean, the Eagles are dumb.
They haven't done real. Here's the good thing. People keep saying, "Oh man, the Eagles got all those draft picks." They have not done well with first round draft picks.
No, I mean, I'm just assuming they'll just reach for a third round wide receiver and take him in the first.
Right. Here it is. You're hearing rumors about Rhaegar that people are calling about him. They're trying to, and it's like, wait a minute, he's only been there 2 years. You're ready to get rid of him? So yeah, they'll be drafting another wide receiver without a doubt, at least with one of those picks.
I'm with you though, Mark. Is like if we could bump back, not a long ways, but if you could drop back to like that Kansas City spot, one of those, even depending on the wide receivers or who Green Bay wants, they may be in the market to actually move up. If you could pick up another late second, third, then yeah, I'd be all for it too, because I think. The wide receiver pool and the wide receiver talent, I don't see. I mean, Burks and Watts, I don't see. I see those are the kind of guys that are going to be there. I don't see Olave there. I don't see obviously Garrett Wilson or Jameson. I don't think those guys are going to be there. So really, when you start talking about, man, I don't know, the sky's going to drop. Yeah, I'd love to have Scott Moore, but I don't know you'll be able to get him with your second. But I think you have to fix, and I heard you say this earlier, Dallas likes to actually draft tackles and turn them into guards.
This is the thing with the Cowboys that always drive me crazy because, they get a guy and it's like, okay, we know that's what you do, but we want you to do this. It's like, if you need a guard, get a goddamn guard. Okay.
Okay. But when was the last time that they actually did that?
Zach Martin.
Right. But the difference was Zach Martin was a tackle at Notre Dame, but he was projected to be the number one guard coming into the draft. So it wasn't Dallas saying we're going to take a tackle and convert him to a guard.
I'll give you that one, though. Give
me another one.
Okay. But here's the thing. My philosophy is this, or if you look at the draft, typically how it's going to go. Quarterbacks, even if it's a bad draft, are still going to be a couple of them going in the first round.
Yeah.
Right. So we could easily say that 2 quarterbacks will probably go before the Dallas Cowboys draft. Is that a safe bet?
Sure. Probably. Yeah. Probably. I mean, I would think you'd look at teams like Atlanta's in the market.
A flyer on one of them. We know that. So we know left tackles. Left tackles, you're going to probably lose about 4 of those guys. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Edge rushers. Probably about 4 of those. Cornerbacks, probably 3 cornerbacks.
Yeah. 2.
2 or 3. Okay. Wide receivers, maybe 3 or 4.
But you're talking before 24, right?
Before 24, yeah.
Right.
So how many guards do you think will be drafted before 24?
No, I think you have a good possibility of Zion Johnson and Kenyon Green both being there with Tyler Lindenbaum. Right. So I think you could move back, pick up some extra picks, and still pick up one of those guys.
There you go. And if you end up getting an extra third-round pick on a draft that we think is deep with defensive tackles, deep with offensive linemen, deep with wide receivers, and looking how the Cowboys have drafted by the chart over here in the third round, literally doubling almost everybody.
Yeah, they've done well.
They've done well. And like I said, Golston was actually a really good pick this year as well. Having that extra third-round pick possibly, or maybe even a second, depending on how far you have to move back, that could definitely help to reload this team.
Yeah, because I'm with you on needs. I mean, I'd take a center. I wouldn't hesitate to take a center, a guard, tackle as a potential swing. By the time you get down into tackle range, I mean, unless something stupid happened, right? I mean, if one of the top 3 are there, cool. But if they're not, I mean, who'd I see? Bernard Raymond actually mocked to the Cowboys today at 24 on the NFL Network. I'm sorry, who? Give me a break. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Wait, who?
Bernard Raymond from Central Michigan.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so that would make me break a chair during draft day.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
So unless one of the top three, Evan Neal, Ikamu, Cross, if those guys are there, but they're not going to be, right? So you're going to take the best guard available.
Okay. I would think you would. But knowing the Cowboys, they like that sizzle more than substance. I could see them saying, we need another wide receiver first.
Yeah, but you're not. Yeah, I can see that too, Mark, because I just don't think it's necessarily smart to reach. It depends on who's there, though, as well, right? I mean, there's some really good wide receivers in this class. We can all agree to that, right? Yeah. But I think who do you want? I mean, do you want Treylon Burks, Drake London, Christian Watson?
I want to fix the line. Okay. Right. Okay. Listen, offensive line. Okay. I'm old school. I played guard in high school and I played nose guard in college. Okay. I believe the team builds from the line out. You get me the offensive line together. Even if I don't have great wide receivers, I'll be able to open up some holes, and even old-ass Zeke can run through some big holes if they're there. If Zeke can actually run the football, then guess what? Then that means the defense is going to be honest on the run. If they have to be honest on the run, then you can play action guys to death. Dak Prescott can roll out and be able to be protected and can hit some receivers because he's got more time.
Well, I think what you got to look at is you look at it like this, okay? If you take one of the top guards in the first round, what wide receivers are available in the second round? Or if you take one of the projected first round wide receivers that you feel will actually fall to you, Treylon Burks, London, Watson, okay, what guard do you want in the second round? And what's the drop off between the two?
Well, for me, here's my thing is, if I'm looking at guard in the first round, I probably have the first or the second best prospect there.
100%.
And that is a bigger need for me than the wide receiver.
Right.
If I take the wide receiver at 24, it's probably the third, fourth.
You're looking at
prospect.
Ed Ingram.
Yeah. So you're looking at the fourth best guy. I'd rather go with the best guy that I can get for a spot that I definitely don't have anybody for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Connor McGovern. Him trying to get to the second level was pathetic last year.
You can get a better wide receiver in the second round than you can get a better guard in the second round.
Right, exactly.
That makes sense.
And who really knows? I mean, DJ Metcalf was a second round draft pick.
Right. Yeah, that happens all the time, right?
You don't know. I mean, people always think unless you're drafted in the first round, you're not going to be any good. But the reality is more players seem to be, like you pointed out, third of the players in the NFL, undrafted rookie free agents.
All right. So what if Devin Lloyd or Nakobe Dean are sitting there and the guards are gone?
Well, if the guards are gone, then and you can't trade back, and I guess you make a move on one of those guys then.
Right.
I mean, you don't have too much choice.
Nakobe Dean in the backfield with Micah Parsons would be absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, it would be. And the thing is, you just don't know how the draft's going to go out. Because I think back when the draft was in Philly, and you were looking at that draft, and all of the edge rushers were just going off the board. The Cowboys had a need because that was before DeMarcus Lawrence really had his big year. In fact, he had back surgery, I think, that year. And you were looking basically as Tyrone Crawford was about the only experienced real guy they had in there. It was like, who's going to rush the quarterback? So they were desperate. And the way the edge rushers were going, the Cowboys just kind of reached, and they ended up taking Taco Charlton.
Right.
Because I think they panicked because they thought, okay, there'll be guys.
And they have taken J.J. Watt.
Well, they could have. But again,
T.J. Watt.
He was against their philosophy. He didn't have the length that they liked and everything else, and they said he doesn't really fit our system. And that's another one of those things that drive me crazy about the Cowboys. Instead of looking at a player and saying, he's got skills that we could use, how can we use those skills here? Oh, no, that's not what we're looking for, so screw him. So, yeah, that's one of those ones. And
so
hindsight's 20/20.
What if Derek Stingley's there?
You tell me.
Well, that does not answer the question. That was a complete freaking deflection.
It is. It is. Hold on. Shot Marley Greens. I got to show you something. Is that what you were looking for there, buddy? Oh, wait. Boom. All right. I finally figured it out. Okay. Sorry, I had to do that because I've been looking for Marley for a while. Yeah, and I was trying to pass the buck on that one. You tell me what you think on that one.
I mean, I don't think secondary is a need for the Cowboys.
If you get the beast in the middle and give that pass rush, here's my thing. Anybody who's watched me for any length of time always knows I have been pounding the table from the time Calais Campbell was leaving Arizona, and I said, you've got to get a guy like that in the middle. If you've watched the Cowboys typically and you look at, the 49er game, we held Jimmy Garoppolo to 170 yards, but I think they rushed the ball for like 190. You look at every playoff game we play, we can't stop the run.
Yeah, but who is that? I mean, look, you're not getting Jordan Davis.
I know you're not getting Jordan Davis, but I can
dream.
So
who's next?
Can I dream? Well, at least go a little bit higher than, say, Quentin Bohannon in the 6th round.
Well, yeah, but you have a bunch of 3-techs as defensive tackles.
Yeah, we do, but we still
coming in the draft.
Well, okay.
So you got Jordan Davis as a 1.
Oh yeah, he's the one.
Right.
That would be my dream. Okay.
Travis Jones.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, super athletic, 325-pound DT from Connecticut. But I can't remember. I don't know. I'd ask Dave, the college football guy, but he doesn't look at defensive tackles.
They're not sexy. Okay.
They're not.
It's not like quarterbacks. Oh, everybody loves quarterbacks. But see, and people don't care about defensive linemen, unfortunately. But that's the key to the thing, because every time, if you go back and watch Aaron Rodgers and when he leads up the Cowboys, it's almost like the parting of the Red Sea in front of him. You can see him just survey the field. Or, like I said, the 49ers just running up roughshod up the middle and just not being able to stop them. The Cowboys have a tendency to like, of course, speed and length. But sometimes you just need a fire hydrant. You need like a roll-off dumpster full of gravel, an immovable force in that middle to stop the run.
Well, and we got Bohannon this year. Who knows? Vach likes to say, he got that.
He's got the size.
That off-season of peanut butter.
It's not the peanut butter. The problem with him is he gets up too high. You got to stay really, really low. He keeps playing, I call him the titty games, because he's up there like this with the offensive lineman. If you're doing that as an offensive tackle, you're getting blown out of there.
Right.
So that's technique that needs to be learned. If he learns that I've got to be able to drop the anchor and hit the ground when I'm feeling that pressure from that double team, if he can start keeping his body and getting underneath of the offensive lineman, he can blow people away with the size and strength that he has.
Right.
But he's got to learn to do that consistently.
So I think if you're looking at.
And on the flip side on that one, that's the biggest problem that I see with Tyler Badish. Tyler Badish ends up playing the titty games too. When he snaps the ball, he's going straight up right. And guys are able, especially big guys, are able to get underneath his pads and just ride him right in the backfield.
Right in back. And that was Connor Williams' problem too.
Yeah, definitely. It's
so
the low man that wins on the line.
If your dream is a 1-tech DT that can really stuff the run, Jordan Davis isn't going to be there in the 1st round. He'll already be gone.
I can dream, though.
Travis Jones will not be available for your pick in the 2nd round.
Right.
I think your next guy, and I could be wrong, ask your viewers on this because I haven't studied, but John Ridgway is probably the only other from Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that there's another true 1-tech. Well, those 3 guys. There's a whole bunch of 3-techs in between them. And guys that study this stuff, like I said, I'm just a fan, right? So I just look at traits and read up on different stuff. And, I don't watch all 22 on all these damn players. Who's got time for that? I got to manufacture product and keep you awake.
We do know what the Cowboys' MO is, okay? Don't spend your money on the first wave of free agency. Go to the draft, see what you get. And then if they've got money, they will have come June 1st, about $26 million with the money from Lyle Collins added onto the mix. There's value, and we know that Stephen Jones,
where are they at?
Yeah, that maybe ends up getting a one technique or a run stuffer to go in there on the defense and things.
Yeah.
I was sitting here thinking a little bit here because this draft has a lot of tight ends in it too, right?
Yeah, a ton of them.
And here's the thing that's kind of interesting, and I'm just trying to understand the Cowboys' thought process. They say that guys are valuable to them, and they don't want them to hit free agency and stuff, right? So, I mean, they don't want them to go elsewhere like Randy Gregory did or like J-Ron Kearse. They let them go out. But, it was kind of interesting that what they did with Dalton Schultz, that they franchise tagged him. And here's what I'm sitting here thinking is I think they franchise tagged him to give them versatility. Because there are a lot of tight ends in here. You could draft a tight end, or somebody could fall to you that you might look at and say, they're really good, and they could end up letting go of Blake Jarwin.
They already did.
I'm sorry. Dalton Schultz. I'm sorry. All you white guys look alike.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I always do that. It's my.
What are you trying to tell me that Cooper Rush looked like Kellen Moore the other day? It's just like all you white guys look alike. Cooper Rush and Kellen Moore. I'm like, come on, man. I'll give you some of that, dude.
Okay.
But the ginger Cooper Rush,
I know.
doesn't look nothing like Kellen Moore.
I get talking 1,000 miles. Don't you guys have something to help for clarity in the brain?
We do.
Okay. See, that's what I need to take because. I end up speaking so much that I make mistakes and don't even realize I do. So that was one of those ones. But they could actually, if they ended up drafting and getting a really good tight end, they could say, you know what, we're going to take back the franchise tag and keep that $10.9 million.
I've been meaning to look that up. Can they do that?
Yeah,
I mean, there's a deadline, right? And
yeah,
I know there's a deadline for Dalton to sign it, and he already did. Right, but is there a deadline for when the Cowboys can pull it back?
Because I didn't realize he'd already signed it. Okay, so yeah. I'm behind on that one.
Yeah, he signed it, and I was wondering if Dallas had the right to pull it back up until Dalton signed it. Come here, your viewers are all smart. Somebody should know the answer to that.
Let's see. He can decline it, of course. It's fully guaranteed. So, actually, I think he can't be. You're right. If he signed it, I didn't realize he'd already signed it. So, forget that idea.
There's a deadline. I know there was a deadline for him to sign it, right? Mm-hmm. But I think he like jumped on it and signed that shit right away because I think he thought that's exactly what Dallas was doing, right? Let's see what we can do. If we draft a tight end, maybe we pull that, and all of a sudden Dalton Schultz is now a free agent after the draft. So, I like Dalton Schultz, though. I mean, I think, I don't know how he forgot. He might have turned into a little bit of a diva because he forgot how to block. I mean, the first couple of years, it's like that's all he did was block. Now it's like, now he knows how to whiff. He can't block for Zeke out of the backfield or a bubble screen or anything. He's horrible at it. So he needs to work on that. But there are a lot of tight ends.
Forget that. It is locked in. So, but but you can still get that tight end, try him out for a year, and then of course you can let him go because you're not committed for the long haul.
I think that's ultimately what they're looking to do is like they have him risked at $10 million this year. And if they get a decent enough tight end in the draft that they feel comfortable with, I know Sky and a couple of guys talk about Jelani Woods. So I checked out his stuff. I like Jelani too, a lot.
Okay. All right, we've got about 5 minutes left to the live stream here, and a shout out to everybody who's in here with us tonight. Last 5 minutes, I want you guys to tell us a bit about your company here, and we've kind of scratched the surface a little bit here, and we're going to find out tomorrow about the energy tablets. And I remember just take one for the whole day. That's
I just
all
take one at a time.
Okay, well, okay, one in the morning. Should I take another one at night? I mean, in the evening? You said don't take one before bed.
I told you not to take one at midnight when you're running that CNC machine and you're dog ass tired and you just want to go to bed. I said, don't take one of those energy capsules.
If I'm running the CNC machine, I need to be up with that thing in case it messes up.
Dude, I watched that one video after you were running that CNC machine and you'd finished off. I think you were getting ready to carve the names on the back of that board or whatever.
And it was a good thing
you
I
were
was still
dragging.
up. It was a good thing I was still up because the machine decided to say, screw you, I'm going to sleep. And had I been at sleep, it would have messed up the machine. So if I'm running the machine, I got to be awake.
So a little bit real quick about our company and this, and Dave told you guys a little bit for that had heard of how we kind of got associated with the Pro Football Retired Players Association. Mm-hmm. They were talking to several different CBD companies because they wanted to get involved in CBD and have an ownership stake within a CBD company. And so that's really, when I got involved with them, those were the different comparisons that they were doing with the CBD company. And one of the things that we looked at is the Pro Football Retired Players Association and how it was formed and how it was built, how they're funded. All this money comes from the NFL, and that money is only going to last so long because they want a lawsuit against the NFL for the NFL and NFL films using their likenesses after football. So they want a lawsuit. That association was formed, and their business model is to really give back to the retired players in the form of medical assistance for vision and dental insurance. Mm-hmm. And when we started talking about it, I said, how can we expand on the things that we provide to the retired athletes? I mean, you have leverage, you're associated with IMG, one of the biggest sports agencies in the world. How do we leverage this stuff to, instead of just trying to raise more capital, more revenue for the Pro Football Retired Players Association, but also the 22,000 members, right? And so that's kind of the business model. We work directly with the Pro Football Retired Players Association to actually create a model to where we can go out there and we can help actually promote really what is passionate for the individual player. So whether it's books or public speaking, or, we have several of our endorsers have kids foundations where they're doing kids camps and things like that. So we really, we earmark part of the sales of every product that we sell to go to the Pro Football Retired Players Association, go to the marketing, and go to the individual athlete or their cause. Okay, so we kind of earmark. So we'll use marketing dollars to actually promote, Charlie Garner and his camps, or Mike Singletary has a app coming out that provides benefit to inner city families. Merrill promotes his book, and Ben Troop. And so we've got these guys, and, really what we're trying to promote is what they're passionate about. And then, of course, we sell product. We use the product to help support those causes. So we're completely vertically integrated, meaning that we breed our own seed, grow our own hemp, extract our own raw material, manufacture all of our own products in-house. It enables us to be about 50% cheaper than everybody else and still have enough money to give to the PFRPA to provide benefit to the causes of these athletes. And so that's the thing that I think Dave can attest to as well, that, I get the most joy out of, like, when athletes are excited because we're helping them get to where they want to be. To me, it's more about that than, selling products. The product's amazing. We sell a lot of product. So that's the easy part. You make a good product, people tend to buy it.
Up here pinned, guys, if you are interested in it, there's the link for the website, and if you end up using the code Cowboy Jobu, you can get 20% off of it. Like I said, I use the lemongrass rub on my shoulders. It smells good. It smells really good.
That's my favorite scent.
And it definitely loosens up quite a bit. I'm going to try it for a couple of days and see how it goes. So definitely check it out, and know that you're going to a good cause to help retired NFL players. And unfortunately, there's a lot of players that are really messed up from football. And, I look at Charles Haley, Charles Haley is only 2 years older than me. We played football together at JMU, and I look at where his body is right now. It's and not that my body's in great shape because my body's screwed up, but it ain't that screwed up. But there's a lot of players out there that definitely need help. So shout out to you guys for definitely looking out for the retired players.
Yeah, it's fun. We're trying for sure. It's been a fun journey.
I love weed. Unfortunately, Dale's camera died on us here. And
Yeah,
that's why I love weed. So can I see the face behind the product? Okay.
We got one of them. Bartoo is my business partner.
Yeah, he's the quiet partner.
He has nothing to add when it comes to Cowboys.
Yeah, there you go. Well, most people want to add to the Cowboys. We know what that's like. But anyway, I appreciate both of you guys being here, and I look forward to doing this some more. You guys have some more time and things. I know it's 7:00 on the West Coast.
And Dave and I geek out on these statistical conversations because you have to understand the dynamic between me and Dave, right? I'm a fan of the game and a fan of the Cowboys, right? Dave is very much analytical and stats. So when you get two of us talking about the same thing, and I'm like going, I need to know this about the Cowboys, and he's going, let me pull these stats together. I mean, yeah, we can geek out on these conversations, which a lot of times we do. Okay. We do every day.
Well, I like statistics too. I love statistics, but of course, you get the cynical fan. Well, it doesn't pass the eye test. It's like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, because they're so qualified to do an eye test.
Well, I always say, you know what? You could have 10 people on the corner watching a car accident, and you're going to see 10 different points of view.
That's true.
So
that is definitely true. So. Well, let's do it again.
Sounds like a winner to me. So, good people, you know what time it is. You ain't got to go home, but you got to get the heck up out of here because it's time to turn out the lights.
Go use Jobu's coupon at hempforpros.com.
Cowboy Jobu for 20% off is the discount code.
Right. Portion of the proceeds benefits the Pro Football Retired Players Association.
Okay. They say that all good things must end. Call it a night. The party's over. And tomorrow and next year starts the same old thing.